isn't Adani a powerful symbol of a project that we just cannot afford to let go ahead if we're serious about a clean energy, livable future for our children? Whilst I am all on side for personal change, making change in our lives, we also need to be pushing for political and system change to this issue. We have a situation right now where our government is controlled by a reckless industry, and that's not going to change without people standing up and organising their communities and pressuring their politicians. And so what this movement is all about is about everyday people standing up wherever they are, getting organised, working with people, friends, family in their communities to build a movement that is more powerful than the coal industry is, so that we can actually realise that beautiful vision you were talking about before. Now, Adani's mine is in Queensland, yes. The impacts of that mine would not just be national, they would be international. We currently have a reef that is half dead. Now, I don't even want to begin to imagine the impact on that beautiful ecosystem if we were to allow that mine to go ahead. We see the impacts of climate change all around us. Bushfires raging last month in the middle of winter. That is not the kind of future that we want. And so anyone can get involved wherever they are, because this is a national issue and an international issue. And your politician needs to hear from you. That's the only way they will shift. Currently, they're just mainly hearing from the coal lobby. They're hearing from coal lobbyists, coming and meeting with them, giving their parties money. The way we turn that around is by them hearing from more of us, showing up at your MP's office, going and talking to people in your community about this issue. So many people we know are on side, but they haven't been given an outlet to get organised and to get involved. That majority of Australians who are deeply concerned, alarmed, disillusioned with politics, we need to go and talk with those people and give them a way to get active. Now, it might start with them contacting their MP or sending them an email, sending them a letter, requesting a meeting, and then it might move from them getting involved with your local group, coming to events, coming to actions, and slowly getting more involved. And that's the way that we grow this people-powered movement, to show that we are a force more powerful than the fossil fuel industry, and tip the scales away from the really disturbing balance that it's currently sitting at.
What's your movement currently? Like, how many people across
great question.
the nation have you got?
So there's around 100 local Stop Adani action groups, 18 new groups formed in the last 10 weeks. This movement is growing. It is unstoppable, and it will stop this mine, and it will be the movement that then moves us beyond fossil fuels.
So can anyone start a group?
Absolutely anyone can. It might just be you, 4 or 5 friends in your suburb getting out and knocking on some doors, having some conversations with people, and finding that actually a lot of people in your area are on side, but they just haven't been given the opportunity to get involved. No one's asked them what they think or taken the time to listen to how they feel, and to meet them where they're at and find ways for them to be involved. That might be turning up at their MP's office, but it might be entering data in a spreadsheet. The beautiful thing about social movements is that there is a role for everyone, and we need everyone involved to win. So we want to see that by this time next year, there's not 100 groups, there's 200 groups. Everywhere we look, we can point to a group on the map, and this movement is just building from one thing to the next, and is unstoppable. And we have a federal election, coming up in the next few months. There is no better time to be organising than ahead of a federal election, but also off the back of all of this alarming news about climate change growing over the last few months. The shenanigans that went down in Canberra the other week, and when we look at Adani, the urgency, the real urgency around this mine. A lot of people think that the project isn't going ahead. Politicians are certainly very good at telling us that, this project, it's not going anywhere, it doesn't stack up. That couldn't be further from the truth. Adani last week, it was revealed, has started illegal work on the mine site. They have slashed their rail costs in half. They say they have locked in money to start digging. So And Adani's wealth himself has quadrupled in the last 4 years. He could afford to build this mine if he wanted to. Now, the only thing standing between him and doing that is our federal politicians. And the only thing that is going to shift that is us, organised communities, standing up and demanding that they represent us, not the coal lobby, not Adani.
So with the federal election, what would you advise? Like, you know, there's lots of, just say all of the new, the 18-year-olds that are just registering to vote. And they don't really have a lot of idea about what politics is, you know, generalising. What would you advise them?
First of all, register to vote, because then you can have a say. And then, you know, get involved in, you know, your local group. There's the Australian Youth Climate Coalition, amazing network of tens of thousands of young people all around the country who care deeply about climate change and are organising, whether it's in their high schools, their universities, their sports clubs, their local communities. They're a wonderful organisation to get involved with. Equally, the Stop Adani movement. We are such a broad church. You know, groups are made up of high school students, anything up to, you know, 80, 90-year-old retirees. There is a place for you in this movement. We want you to be part of this. And so, you know, it might be getting involved in a local group. It might be, you know, starting your own group in your school, in your university, meeting with your MP, letting you know that your generation cares deeply about this issue and that this will determine how you vote at the next election. That kind of thing speaks to politicians. They care about how their constituents vote because they know it could be the difference between them keeping their job and losing their job. And for the more genuine ones, hopefully it's more than that. They actually care about young people and a livable future. But we know that when we speak to people en masse and activate their support into action with our movement, politicians take notice. And when those people continue to push our politicians to change, that's when we create real political change. And we've seen this work in the past. For example, last year, the Queensland election, the $1 billion loan that was proposed to hand to Adani, taxpayer money, $1 billion. No one wanted it. But yet the Queensland government thought it was a great idea. They were ready to hand this to Adani. And people organised, not just in Queensland, around the country, tens of thousands of calls made into Queensland MPs, people turning up at MPs' offices, bird-dogging politicians, following them around, constantly asking them, why are you doing this? People don't want it. And what we saw was a complete 180-degree turn. Within a couple of days of the election being called, Premier Palaszczuk said, look, actually, Adani, we can't give you this money. Now, that's an example of people power. They would not have done that without pressure.
Was a U-turn. Completely.
That was a huge, completely 180-degree turn. Now, that's the kind of thing that we need to be doing right around Australia. We can achieve it. We can achieve it when we work together and organise together. But, you know, time is running out. The climate impacts are raining down upon us. A federal election is not far away. Adani is determined. They are not going to walk away. They have invested too much in this mine. They will fight to the death. And so that is why we need to build our movement stronger than we ever have before. But not just to stop Adani, to use the momentum that we've built in this social movement to create enough public pressure to move Australia beyond all fossil fuels. Because this campaign is not just about one mine. It's about people who care deeply about our climate, our reef, our water, who want our politicians to represent us and who are willing to do what it takes to get that.
For a green, clean, sustainable Geelong, the Sustainable Hour.